Live. All right. Welcome back to Noke Wrestling News, episode 58, powered by Virginia Blue Ridge Sports. I'm here with head coach Nate Yetzer and associate head coach Blake Rosenbaum tonight.
I'm not on here yet, but I'll be there soon.
Okay. I guess we got to start with congrats on a heck of a weekend.
Yeah,
it was,
appreciate it.
this past weekend, national championships up in Providence, Rhode Island. I guess the weekend was a lot of highs and a lot of lows, but I think overall ended on a huge note.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny before the tournament started, me, Con, and Blake were talking about what we'd rather have: one national champ or 4 or 5 All-Americans. And I think we all kind of decided on one national champ. It was probably bigger for our program, a bigger step for our program. And it happened. I mean, obviously Friday night was a hard thing. My heart goes out to Jonah and Isaac Paulino are right there, and has done everything right this year. It just didn't just kind of didn't fall in their favor for the last little bit. And but they'll both be better because of it. I really do think they'll both improve on that, and they'll be fine.
So you guys Nationals, for those of you who don't know, was up in Providence, Rhode Island.
Yep.
You guys left on, I believe, Wednesday morning?
Yep.
Or Thursday?
Wednesday morning. Yep.
Yeah. Morning, took the guys up, flew, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I had to drop you off.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So flew up there, got in probably mid to late afternoon. And did you guys get a workout in on Wednesday? Or?
Yeah, we did. We were able to get into the wrestling room or the mats, and it's always good to get up in there and kind of see what it's all about, find the layout and all that stuff, and feel comfortable about where you're at. And we were lucky we had 2 workouts there. Mm-hmm. The next day we got to work out there again too. So it wasn't any big surprises. We knew where everything was, and I felt like we were really ready to go. And I think we proved that first round. The first round we were pretty successful, and I thought we wrestled very well. And so the first session went about as good as it possibly could go.
Yep. So just kind of a breakdown of the guys we sent. So at 125, junior Isaac Paulino.
Yep.
133, freshman Jonah Paulino at 33. 141, Mark Samuel. We'll get back to him in a minute.
Yep.
Junior. 174, sophomore Xavier Preston.
Yep.
And then at 184, Vinny
Corvetto,
and he's a sophomore.
Sophomore.
So
we get all 5 back. So
just looking at, you've got a junior, you got a couple juniors, a couple sophomores, and a freshman. Like having that depth, I guess, at the national tournament. I mean, what does that say for the program? A lot of some programs might just have all seniors that make it to the tournament, but you've got every class represented. What does that kind of mean for the program currently and maybe even going forward?
I mean, to be successful in a program, you got to have recruiting, you got to have development, you got to have retention. Mm-hmm. And obviously, I think at that point, we've done all 3, I think, pretty good job. And that's why we have the depth that we have, And it's only going to get better. I mean, we're getting deeper. We're going to get a lot deeper next year. We have a great class coming in. So I'm very, very encouraged. I think, we're going to continue to get depth at every weight. There's probably only 2 weights this year where we didn't have a lot of depth, a lot of really good and experienced depth. And I think next year we'll have depth about every weight. So
let's just walk through each of the guys. We'll save Mark Samuel for the last one. We'll have individual one for him. Actually, we'll get him on the podcast.
Yes,
the next podcast, or we'll get him on eventually.
Catching up on some schoolwork, and obviously, but I know you guys are stuck with me today, but me and Blake. But we're gonna get Mark on the very next podcast. So.
But at 125, so junior Isaac Paulino, transfer this past year for Redmond College, transferred in. Had a pretty good regional tournament, ended up placing 3rd at regionals to qualify for nationals. And then, honestly, wrestled a pretty good tournament. Obviously, didn't end the way we wanted it to.
Yeah.
Fell in the blood round. But, his first round match, I think he had did he have a pigtail? I can't remember.
Yeah, he did. He had the 5th seeded kid. It just went out, and the kid's very good. Get him actually being an All-American. I think he had to take a 5th. So, but he went out and looked really good. And I mean, the fireman's guy put him in his back, and then took him down again and pinned him. So, outstanding started the tournament for him, and was really impressed. He was ready to go, so he did a great job. And then next round he ran into Next round he wrestled Mason Barrett for the 3rd time this year from Avery, who ended up finishing 3rd in the country. It just got down early, right out of the gate. We got dumped to our back. We were down 7-0. I think the first 30 seconds or 45 seconds, and unfortunately, that's a hard thing to come back, especially Mason Barrett, who I got a lot of respect for Mason. Mason's a 3-time All-American and did a phenomenal job. And he's a senior. He's graduating, but did a really, really good job. But Isaac performed well. And then really in the blood round, he had a kid from Mount Vernia who he was really dominating the match. And I felt like we were total control of the match. And just, kind of, slipped up, and made a small mistake. And at that level and at that round, you can't afford those, right?
Yep.
But again, he outstanding season. He has nothing to hang his head about, and really proud of him, and really excited about him for the next couple of years.
Yeah, get him back next year will be huge. I think it'll be interesting to see how 125 for Roanoke College plays out next year.
Right. Yep.
So
I do think it'll work out the way it's supposed to, right? So.
Yeah. But I mean, congrats, Isaac, on a solid
Yeah,
tournament.
absolutely.
133, Isaac's brother Jonah, true freshman for Roanoke College. I mean, one thing, being a national qualifier as a true freshman is huge.
Absolutely, yep. But then going and seeded too, seeded pretty high.
Yep.
I've had an outstanding year, right? I think I've lost these 5 times all year.
I think it was 4. Two going into the national tournament.
Yeah, and at Southeast Open.
Yeah, unattached. Yeah. So, but trains really hard. He loves wrestling. He's coachable. He's all the intangibles. Good student. I'm just really. I think he's going to take off from here, right? I mean, obviously, listen. It came down the wires up by 2 with 20 seconds to go, and just had a mental lapse, and this cost you at that level.
Yep.
So, especially kids from Augsburg, they're very well coached, and it was heartbreaking, but I do think it's going to be better because of it.
We'll talk about Markey here in a minute, but at 174, Xavier Preston, so sophomore, 2-time national qualifier now, qualified last year when he was a freshman. I think he went 0-2 last year.
Sure, yep.
This year, I know he's been battling some injuries, so I'm sure it was a tough tournament for him mentally, just trying to fight through that, and physically with the said injury. But 1 and 2, I mean, not obviously where you want to finish, but I was better than last year.
Absolutely. He steps forward, and then really I'll give. I thought he made, even though it may only look like he, but took one little step forward with winning a match at nationals. I will say he made huge strides at the end of the year. Huge strides, just more the mental side of things. Yeah. And just I do think if he was healthy, X got on the mat Thursday before the day before the NCAA tournament. Got on the mat. He hadn't been on the mat all those 2 weeks because of he was on there a couple times, just kind of feeling things out. Has a hurt ankle. We don't know the extent of it yet, and my gut tells me it's probably fractured. And to be able to go in there feeling good and keep his weight under control, with not being able to get on the mat that much, I was really impressed. And just the way he battled. I mean, honestly, the first match just kept tweaking it a little bit. You could tell it was really, really bothering him. To a kid that was a little bit better than him, right? So, and then the turnaround really and beat the kid from Stevens, who beat him when he was healthy earlier in the year. It says a lot about who he is. He had to suck it up too, because I think he was down by 1 or 2 with 30 seconds to go, and had to find a way to get a takedown without having to attack.
Yeah. I think I was targeting his leg. He ended up in a sweep one time and literally turned it. So guys are targeting, they knew what's happening.
But he sucked it up and got that win. So for me, that was a big jump in just who he is. And so I do think being healthy, I would have really loved to see how he did the rest of the tournament being healthy.
I mean, first round, he had a pretty tough draw first round, though, right? He had national champ.
Yeah.
I can remember which. I knew it was one of the brothers. I couldn't remember which.
He won it 2 years ago, and then he lost this year in the finals. But he's
that's a tough draw.
Yeah, really. Yeah. So we wanted to see how it would play out. And, he got down 9-2 early. He got taken down 3 times. So we actually engineered far out to kind of save it, to see if we could kind of get it feeling somewhat good enough to be able to come back and wrestle that against the Stevens kid. And
obviously,
they pulled out the win. Yeah. So I was really, really impressed.
And then his second or his third match.
Yeah, he wrestled Lycombe. Kid was pretty good, actually. Transferred from Bloomsburg, and the kid actually lost in the blood round. But we hung with them for a little bit, but then it just got to be too much. Kid kept going low single on it, and tight waist ankle
on it.
Yeah. So
he knew what he was doing.
Yeah,
like targeting and stuff.
It was just he could overcome that. So he gets a better kid too. So.
And then at 184, I think it's Vinny's first appearance as his sophomore year, making not being a national qualifier is huge.
Right.
Ended up going 1 and 2 as well, but I mean his first national tournament and winning a match. I mean, it's really
was in the match, and probably should have beat this first round match. The kid ended up finishing 4th in the country, and Vinny's biggest thing is he's got to believe himself more. I don't think he totally believed that he deserved to be there. I think he was a little bit in awe, like he was even there, and he's still got some stuff to overcome. Really realizing how good he is. So we know as a staff how good he is, and wrestling's important to him. He trains hard. He does things outside the room right. So I think now he's got to realize that he deserves to be there and deserves to win. So I think being here is really important for him.
Gives him that confidence.
Exactly.
That he's like, oh, I'm at this level. I can compete at this level.
But now you got to turn the page. Now there's expectations.
Yeah.
Right. So
you can't settle for that.
Yeah.
I think personally watching as a fan, I think Vinny struggled some this year early.
Yeah.
But I think we started seeing the old Vinny that we saw the year before.
Right. Yep.
Later in the season. So I think he was starting to put some things together. Hopefully next year, has this, the break with the, summer and then off season and comes back ready to go. Because I think really has potential to definitely be an All-American.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would like to see the Vinny at the end of the season throughout the whole season.
Sure. I mean, I think
any coach would.
There was a shift, though. I do say, like, really in January, we had some adversity at one of the events, and really since then, he's grown up. Like I'm just more excited for him and proud of him. His growth as a person, between that, from middle of January into now, more than the wrestling part. I mean, obviously he's always a pretty good wrestler, but now I think his maturity. I just think I've been really impressed with that. I'm really proud of him because that's it's made a big changes in that department for sure.
So we covered all the other guys. We got to single out Mark Samuels. So, I mean, what do we say? Roanoke College's first national champ in wrestling. I believe it's your first, personally as being head coach, first champ. And I believe Roanoke College's first male athlete national champ.
Yes, it is. Yep.
As far
as we know, I know the last one was a woman.
Okay.
Track.
Yeah, and I think I asked John Farmer this before, and he said we've never had a male individual national champion.
That's crazy.
Our first one.
That's awesome.
So, just obviously just super proud of Mark, and obviously he's a special kid and phenomenal student, and really to take the path he took last year, the path he took this year to win it is really. I don't think people really recognize how impressive that is. I mean, this year's they even get to that point and to win it. He had to beat a defending national champion and beat a guy he's 0-6 all time against.
Yep.
And Josh Wilson, Greensboro. We've never beat him.
Yeah, 2 overtimes.
Yeah, that was wild. I remember
watching it and then had to win it again.
Yeah. I kind of felt as like a fan watching that semifinal. I was like, if Mark can beat him, he's going to win a national title.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt about it. Because I'm like, they've wrestled so many times. Marky has such an unorthodox style that I feel like most people probably cannot wrestle that unless you've wrestled him before.
Sure.
So once, Marky beat Josh Wilson, I was like, oh, he can win it.
Yeah.
He can win it. I want to go back to Marky's first match. So Marky had a pigtail.
Right.
That was not an easy match for Marky.
Absolutely
that kid was from Augsburg, I believe.
Yeah, turn All-American.
Yeah, that dude was. I mean, that's a good draw. I mean, why was that guy seated so low? That's what I want to know. I mean,
they always see the top 8, right? So
okay.
There's a real push after this year, kind of seeing how things shake out, because we have now more qualifiers. So over half the field is not seated, which is usually not good, right? So I think they're gonna go back to seating 12, instead of 8. So I think that's the plan for next year. All the coaches are pushing for it. So, but that's kind of how I ended up. I mean, it's like then it's random. You get seated, but then you get random. That kid came back second semester, so he didn't have a lot of matches under his belt, so he didn't get seated. He had a couple losses. I mean, I think he was 9-4. You know what I mean? But they wrestled a very good schedule. So I knew, again, well coached. Like I knew that was going to be a tough match.
Yep.
Like it really right out of the gate, I was like, man, we got. You don't want to see that type of kid that wrestles for a team that's trying to compete for a national title. You don't want to see him right out of the gate. You know what I mean? Because every win for them is important for their quest to win a national title. So, and then Marky historically is not great his first match. You know what I mean? And so, but I wasn't overly concerned because he had been dialed in the last probably month of the season, and it just did a great job. It really got hurt too. I think the first takedown, we gave up the first takedown, and when we did that, I think we shot and hit his knee, and it kind of saw stars a little bit. And that was early on, but he sucked it up. I'll give him props.
And then, so that Markey, obviously, we talked a little bit about his semifinal match with Josh Wilson. I do want to say, so at regionals, Mark wrestled Josh in the semifinals of the regional tournament. So I'm just asking because I don't know. As a fan, so it looked like the game plan was in the regionals, go get a bunch of takedowns because Markey knows he can take them down. But what it felt like watching it is Mark got, I think, 3 takedowns within the first period, and then it seemed like he exhausted himself. So So Josh Wilson ended up coming back. Was that kind of a game plan going into this semifinal match to kind of slow the pace down a little bit, knowing that we can get a takedown when we need to?
Yeah, I think, well, the ODAX, going back to the ODAX, right? So I think we've tried to beat that kid several different ways, but the ODAX were like, we're going to be very conservative. So we were probably too conservative. You know what I mean? And so, but we talked about after the ODAX championships about, hey, Mark, you just need to open up and just wrestle him. You know what I mean? And he did, but he went the other way with it. You know what I mean? And so I think we found a happy medium in the NCAA semifinals where he pressed the issue, but he didn't go overboard and waste unused energy. He's kind of buying his time, picking opportunities to score and attack. And really, I almost had a couple of takedowns during the match.
Oh, yeah.
So, he set himself up, and I just think, I don't think anybody would, like, really watching him. I thought we were in pretty good shape to finally knock him off. So.
Yeah, I mean, it was a
heck of riding too.
Having
the match.
That was probably the difference. That was the difference.
That was the biggest training phase over the week with him on every day, riding, crab riding.
Yep.
Obviously, I won the match in the ride out.
Yeah, won a national title too.
Yeah.
Crab ride got turned off.
He didn't even know that was the rule. He's like, so what happens if you would have got out? Well, you still win because you ride time.
Yeah.
He just was like, I'm not going to let him out.
Yeah, that works. So I got to ask, who threw the brick in that match?
That was Colin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lost the brick.
We weren't exactly sure as to what happened because in the meeting they said if it got overturned, you could throw a brick.
Okay.
Right. Well, what had happened though is it did go to independent review, so they was the whole sequence.
Yeah.
And because of that, we threw the brick, and I guess it's like
control the mat,
which I think is kind of silly, but whatever.
It is what
they get. Maybe they get back to us, whatever. But
okay, so you did get the brick back.
Yeah. Well, I think we lose it, but I mean.
Yeah. We had another one.
So. Yeah. We just didn't know. Like honestly, we just didn't know fully that.
So for people that don't know, independent review essentially means they watch the film in another room. So like not the officials that are actually officially the match. It's independent, meaning the head official actually sits down and watches the whole sequence. So they'll play it from start to finish, the whole sequence. And so I mean, there's crazy things that happen. They may see a locked hands in there, and they'll call that too.
Oh, okay.
So like and so it's but it's good for the sport because somebody else, not the referee. Because if you think about it, most referees aren't going to overturn. They're not going to see it any different.
No.
So they're not going to overturn
because they're the ones who made that call.
Yeah, exactly. So independent review takes that out. You know what I mean? And I wish we'd use it more, not just in the tournament.
Yeah. And we just weren't aware. We just thought that because it got overturned, we could challenge it again.
I thought it was a takedown too.
Yeah.
But
so did Markey. You got a photo of him going like, it's the referee. I think it was.
I honestly, from my angle, it did not look like a takedown.
Okay.
Because Wilson was underneath the leg, and I thought, and that's why I was like,
And I think from camera angle too, because Markey's back, like the camera's behind Markey.
Yeah, exactly.
So like he's like this, camera's behind him. He's holding 3. You couldn't see Markey's leg over. I mean, I think his leg was in. I think Wilson was under it, but he was holding him right here. So I don't know. I mean, still got it in the end, but
So we had to calm everybody down, like, hey man, like just be ready to go. I mean, you can't celebrate, and so I thought Markey took it in stride too. You could tell he was a little frustrated. He was like, kind of put his hands up, but then he just got back on it, and that's good things happened because there was a scramble after that toward the end where I thought
we lost it.
Yeah.
Wilson won. That was his 3rd overtime match of the weekend.
Yeah.
He won the other 2.
Yeah.
By him creating it, and he started that action.
Yeah.
Markey went through and on the leg.
Yeah.
Luckily, we got a spot we're really good at.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But then Mark's finals match. I mean, wrestled a kid from Chicago.
Yes.
Chicago. Honestly, before Wilson, that match, that quarterfinal match, that was a barn burner. I think we went 13-11.
Yeah.
That dude was tough. That was one of the toughest kids I think Mark has ever wrestled.
Yeah.
That went to a review. That went to they challenged.
I remember that one. Yeah.
And so they said, from my angle, it looked pretty close to a takedown.
Yeah.
But regardless, I think as a coach, Marky was exhausted because that kid threw everything he had. I think he was a tough kid and got a couple scrambles that got Marky exhausted. But as a coach, I was like, I would have never called a challenge there. I would have tried to win it with 25 seconds to go because Marky was tired. But lucky for us, we got time to catch our wind and went back out there and sealed the deal with another takedown. So kid was dangerous though. The kid had taken third or fourth.
Wow.
I came back and took third. No, actually, I'm sorry. He ended up taking fourth. He lost 17-15 for like third and fourth. It's pretty wild.
So with that win against Josh Wilson, the past 2 years, correct me if I'm wrong, but Mark has beat the previous year's national champion.
Yeah, returning national champion.
2 years in a row.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Championship slayer.
Yeah, for sure.
But then Mark's finals match against a kid that I haven't seen before from University of Chicago.
Yep.
Going into that match, just watching it from an outside in, I felt like since I've never wrestled before, watching Marky, he does crazy stuff that you normally don't see. I felt confident, like this guy's not going to know how to wrestle Marky. So as long as Marky is Marky, should be good. I mean, did you guys kind of feel the same way going into that match?
I think they had a great game plan. I think Chicago did a good job of game planning.
Yeah.
That guy, their coach is a phenomenal coach. Gentry, he was a national champion for Stanford.
Mm-hmm.
And so they did a great job.
And Jason Searches.
Absolutely.
There.
They did a phenomenal job of game planning for us. I mean, I think it was 0-0, right? Headed into
first period was 0-0. Marky was in on a shot early in the match, and then nothing else.
They had a bylock too, and didn't get it either. As well. So it was good, man. I mean, I think it's national finals, so
I think that was the one. Me personally, I was the least
worried about. Yeah,
really,
I would agree.
Really,
I mean,
okay.
Wilson was by far the most nervous.
Yeah,
just because you just don't know. It gets 6 times. 0-6 against him. But that one, and then just the other one beats that because it was so. I went to review and that won it really for us.
Sure.
In the break.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was at least. I mean, I felt like he was ready to go, and
he knows how to win. I mean, he's been on not that big stage, but state finals.
Yeah.
Marky knows how to win. So it's like you knew he was going to go out there and just.
Yeah, he's a winner. He's a winner. So.
I mean, and just how in the Josh Wilson match, his top game won him the match. I felt like it won him the match. Having it into that crab ride position, that scared me. I'm not gonna lie. Like laying on his back, like
he's pretty good. Like
he's good in that
I've been there before. He's pretty good there. He does a really good job of elevating the leg, which is like if you're not elevating the leg, you're gonna step over. Because that kid actually had a really good counter to it.
Yeah,
and he was like doing a good job of keeping his hips up, and eventually Mark got it. So yeah.
But I mean, I definitely think that for this weekend as a whole, watching Marky, especially in those last 2 matches, his top game was what won him both of those matches. Being able to ride.
Sure, 100%.
So
I agree.
Is that, I guess, that crab ride situation? I know when you were at Ferrum, you used to, show that a lot. Yeah. You guys still do that at Roanoke as much? I mean, I know that's kind of a big thing.
I do think guys will get in some trouble there. Like you got to be pretty aware of like your positioning. Mm-hmm. You got to be able to suck yourself into the guy pretty tight, like you essentially glued to him a little bit, and then this has been elevate the heels. Not everybody's got a good feel for that. Yeah. And some guys panic there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like what I mean, and they bail out, and that's when you get caught on your back. Yeah. You got to stick with it and be ready to get back on top too if the opportunity presents itself, right? So scoot yourself back on top. So I like it. I mean, I learned firsthand how good it is. I wrestled in the high school national tournament in the finals. I wrestled a kid from New York who's phenomenal at it. Mm-hmm. Like one of the first guys to start doing it. And he beat me pretty good with it, right? So I kind of absorbed a little bit of that, and but we don't really go over it too much. We've got some guys that are good at it, but yeah.
Gotcha. So I mean, and then ended up winning a national title, obviously huge, and congrats, Marky, on that. Yeah. I do want to shout out. So I might get their names wrong, but Roanoke College's athletic director,
Curtis Campbell,
and John Farmer, made the trip up to Providence, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yep, they came up. My wife and family came up too. They drove up. So
wow,
10 hours. Yeah. So I made the drive back with them, and I was like, oh man, that's a long trip. So I can only imagine. So shout out to them as well too.
That's awesome. So we're gonna go
shout out to, I'm sorry, Jack Campbell. Yeah. Josh Epperly, Dustin Smith. They all came out as well too to watch
us. Troy.
Yeah, Alex Troy. That's right. Mac. That's right. And then
Lorenzo wasn't there
for us,
but he was there all day repping Roanoke. So Runs up low as well.
That's awesome.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah. So we're going to get ready to cut to a commercial break. And then when we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about off-season plans and then alumni weekend.
I heard you died twice. Once when they bury you in the grave, and the second time is the last time somebody mentions your name. So when I leave here on this earth, did I take more than I gave? Did I look out for the people, or did I do it all for fame? Legend is exodus, searching for euphoria, judging through the mud to find the present, no ignoring us. 20,000 deep up in the street like we some warriors. My mama told me never bow your head.
I feel glorious, glorious. Got a chance to start again. I was born for this, born for this. So I am not gonna forget.
Pretty bad in my
I
opinion.
made it through the darkest part of the night, and now I see
And y'all are family.
sunrise. Now I feel
That's a wrap. 2024, Noke Team Camp.
All right, welcome back to Noke Wrestling News. We just kind of recapped the national tournament, everything that happened in that. And once again, shout out to Mark Samuel, Roanoke College's first national champ. So, heck of a season, ended on a good note with the national champ. So now we got to move into the off season, and a lot of people think, oh, wrestling coaches stop once the season's over, and that's not the case at all. However, you guys do get a little bit of a break in some aspects.
I just got done lifting right from the lift before this.
Yeah. I think probably usually like May is like our time off. May and August are kind of like 2 months off.
So kind of like talk about like the plan for the off season and just in general. You don't have to go into a ton of detail. I'm sure we'll be releasing more information as it goes along. But I mean, you guys definitely deserve a little bit of a break, a little bit of a breather, and but you're always thinking to next year. I'm sure.
Absolutely. So. Yep. Yeah, we're just we're wrapping up recruiting, and we go to high school nationals next weekend to kind of maybe wrap up a few more seniors, and then Colin and Blake are really turning their attention to juniors right now, so we're starting to get on juniors and then just kind of continue to build depth and use the momentum that we have, for recruiting as well too. So, and our guys are busy, really starting to look at. Some guys are some guys are more focused on folk style, and we have a crew that's going to be really focused on freestyle. So we should have a big group going to U23s again. So it should be pretty fun.
That's awesome. I know I think you said next weekend is next weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend is NHSCA's.
Yep.
Obviously a big recruiting event for you guys. Do you guys just thinking, being in the shoes of like a high school student, like thinking, hey, I might want to wrestle in college. Like, what's the best way to kind of get in your ear, obviously, just so they can see you, meet you? Obviously, campus is huge because that's more individualized. But if like say kids are going to NHSCA's and they want to stop and say hey to you, what's the best way to contact you guys?
I just reach out. Honestly, just obviously our emails everywhere, and that's the easiest and best way, just because it shows true interest. I really stop recruiting kids that the parent reaches out to me first. It's like, hey, listen, like,
you're not recruiting the parent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, you actually recruit both of them. But I mean, like, more just like, well, it sounds like you're interested, but what about your kid? He got to be able to reach out on his own. You know what I mean? So, honestly, reaching out for the kid and in a well-written email too, nothing turns me off more than I read an email. It's like one sentence. Like sometimes I let my wife look at them, and I'm like, look at this. Like, why would you ever send this to a coach? You know what I mean? So, especially a coach at a school that, Roanoke's a hard school to get into, right? So, that to me, that's the best thing. Or just come up and introduce yourself. And, we try to be fair. We try to be honest. Like, if you're a guy that, hey, listen, you just won't fit what we're doing here, I'll be the first one to tell you. Or if I feel like need to see more of you, we'll tell you to come to camp. You know what I mean? And there's a cost associated with it, but at least with the camp, you get to really see if you're a good fit culturally, if you like the school, if you like the guys on the team, and for us to see just how good you actually are and what your work ethic is. Because nothing would suck more than you come to school here because you think you like it, and you get here and you're like, I don't fit the culture, or this is not what I signed up for. So that helps with those things.
And NHSCA's, just going back to that again, I mean, you guys have had a lot of success recruiting there. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's where you guys found Jonah Paulino,
Yep.
and
Duels.
HSCAs,
And
and the duels, yeah,
Yep.
in which you guys will be going back to that
Yeah.
eventually in a couple more.
Hunter
weeks, I
Moore
feel.
was the last one we got pretty late, I think, there
Yeah.
from Nevada. And obviously he stepped in big time this year at
Yeah.
197.
Had a heck of a year.
Yeah, yep. So
But yeah, so if you're high school listening in,
Yeah.
definitely reach out to the coaches.
Questionnaire, all that stuff.
Yep.
That's how I met Coach Etzer. Questionnaire.
Yep.
You gotta. What's the saying? It's I'm a businessman, right? Not businessman. I'm a businessman or whatever. They say.
yeah.
Who is that? What's the coach for Colorado?
Sanders.
Yeah.
Saying it's like I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman.
Yeah.
You got to prove yourself a little bit.
Yep.
Get yourself out there. Market yourself.
So I guess for the rest of the school year, so obviously guys are still training.
Right,
The guys that are on campus and then still training, and then going through finals in school. So I guess we've got that to finish out. They'll be training freestyle,
Right.
getting ready for that. But once school ends, over the summer, kind of what do you guys do, letting them go back to their hometowns? Like, do you have kind of a plan for them, or do they individually kind of create their own plans that work best for them in their schedule over the summer?
I think we're probably half and half.
Mhm.
I think we're starting to have more and more guys live here over the summer and train, and the guys do a great job because we're in and out. We're not there all the time,
Yep.
so it's important that they train themselves a little bit. To have some
Self accountability.
exactly, some ownership of their own career, right? So I think I know that for me that was some of the funnest parts of my training was during the summers where I trained myself. Me and my friends got together. Hey, we're gonna go at 3:00 today, and it was awesome. I feel like you really get better that way because you really can dial in and focus on things that you need to get better at instead of just going through the motions sometimes. So I think we'll have a big career.
Yeah.
So
Obviously too, as the spot gets harder and harder to make the lineup and that stuff, guys start to kind of realize I got to do something else.
Right.
Exactly. It can't just be a 9-month thing.
Yep.
Guys kind of realize it more and more. And obviously some guys need breaks. I'm up through 2, but some guys like the year you want to start again. Ready to go.
Yeah.
So
What you don't want to happen is you come back from summer and look like some of the guys that what you guys look like when they come back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Those are more and more getting fewer for us
Yeah.
because I think guys understand the standard now.
Yeah.
And they understand that it's
You got to do something over the summer.
yeah. I mean, you just won't make the team.
Yeah.
It's like and you won't get any opportunities to compete just because we obviously are a competitive program and our goal we have very high goals and
Yep.
you got to be able to meet that standard, right? So I think they understand that.
good to have camp in July because you get to see it.
Kind of like,
Yeah,
what is this
like,
kid?
oh,
That kid has been doing absolutely nothing.
So you got a month and a half. Better figure it out.
Yeah.
Or
That's awesome.
hard.
We wish you luck on off-season trainings and
I
hope you
appreciate
guys get some rest. I guess the last thing we want to cover, we don't have another commercial, do we?
Yeah.
Last thing, we're just going to mention it. I know that more information will be given out, but Alumni Weekend at Roanoke College will be April 4th through the 6th.
Yeah.
I know you guys will be having a lot of events and stuff for that. I know you'll release it, but we wanted to get the date out there. It'll be April 4th through the 6th.
Yeah, we'll have an email coming out soon with Coach Judge Bryson tomorrow with dates, what time. Obviously, we try to make Alumni Weekend. If you're coming down here for the weekend, there's something every day. Banquet, casino night, Founders Club, which is a new thing. We'll kind of talk about that maybe on the next one.
Yeah,
Sure. What we're initiating it with. Obviously, it's our first real senior class. So Founders Club and all that stuff. So look out for that email soon. And a lot of RSVPs you got to let us know about.
April 4th is our seniors are giving a speech.
Mhm.
Well, each one will stand up there and give a speech, and they're presented with a jacket. For our new thing is seniors get a jacket, a suit jacket. That's all matches, and then April 5th will be our casino night with our silent auction, and then April 6th will be our banquet in the morning. So we have a pretty busy weekend that plan. This year it's a lot earlier than it was years past. So for whatever reason, I'm not sure why, but they moved it up.
But more information to come on that.
Yep.
I'm sure you'll have to RSVP for some of the events, but that'll all be in the email, newsletters, etc.
Absolutely. Yep.
Well, Coach, heck of a season. We're excited to see what next season holds, and we're supporting you all the way.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, and congratulations to Marky and just the whole Roanoke College wrestling program. This is a big step for us, and obviously you can win national titles here, so that's an exciting thing.
We didn't have any questions, but we did have a comment. Webb Dresser, congrats, coaches and Markey. So pumped for y'all. Obviously, Webb's an alum, so thanks, Webb. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, Webb.
See you in a couple weeks, probably.
Yeah, he said he's coming. Well, he's coming to Alumni Weekend too.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Thanks, Webb.